Hello Pauper people and welcome to a new Pauper Walls Combo video. We have finally back Lead the Stampede. It was bugged for the whole Christmas break, so we could not play with it, which was quite a problem. But actually it forced me to try different ways to build the deck, relying only on 4 winding ways and a lot of creatures. And I find out that it was not too bad. So once lead was back, I decided to try at first a very clean list with four each of the big drawing spells, four Wall of Roots, which I started loving recently, especially in combo with tappers like Saruli, Caretaker, or Jaspera Sentinels, and without Tinderwalls. I had many for once with that list, a couple 3-2s and a couple of bad leaks. But in the end, I noticed that I often had to mulligan, and even though it sounds weird, I often had too many card draws spells and not enough to do in the early game. So now I created this different list, which basically dropped one lead stampede only due to casting cost issues, and went back up to 61 cards, adding 2 Tinderwalls. So I want to increase the number of creatures up to 39 instead of having one more land. And we want to see how this list fares. Concerning the sideboard is quite clean, meaning that we usually aim to side 3, maximum 4 cards in. We have Scattershot Archers against Fairies, Healers of the Glades against Burn, Moment's Peace against Elves, White Weenie, and Gridran Ramp. Then we have Tamiyo Safekeeping, basically against all the removal heavy decks. A sort of Jolly Crypt Incursion to try. It could work against a couple of different combo decks, giving us some life as well. It's too trouble. I just want to try it. And then in the last spot, I'm trying out of desperation Hydroblast, uh, with the only purpose to counter Krark Clan Shaman. So we are not going to side in Hydroblast against most of the red decks, but only against KCS. The rest of the list is quite standard. As I mentioned before, the we have a lot of early game, and we really like to have early Wall of Roots because one tapper, two lands, and Wall of Roots mean that Wall of Roots itself is a free defender 0/4 and can allow very fast starts. And this is what we want against mostly all the bad matchups we have. We need to try to be as fast as possible. So let's see how we fare in the league. Welcome back to match 1. We are playing against Heli Sock, who I don't know. We are on the draw. We have a very reasonable hand, which is quite fast depending on what our opponent is going to play. They start with a swamp that could mean anything, so we will just play Tinderwall, aiming at playing turn 2 Wall of Roots, and then possibly Axebane or card draw depending on what we have. Okay, so they have Ichor Wellsprings, so basically this reduces the possibility to probably 3 decks only, which are some form of Glee, black-green Turbo Fog, or some variation of Gardens. Of course, we really don't want to play against the Gardens if possible. The plan is unchanged. We will just try to go as fast as possible. So we will go Roots and Axebane. They have another Wellspring, so still we don't know much. Here we are very close to the killing, so we try to develop as much as possible. Lembas is tricky, so we are not against Glee for sure. And also Mephitic Drought is weird. It still could be Turbo Fog or Gardens. If Gardens, they are probably just sandbagging a snuff out, but it's, you know, unusual for them not to have killed anything yet. So we are really hoping this is some kind of Turbo Fog variant. Now, of course, we are trying to go for the kill. Attack is a very good draw because it allows us to actually have recursion even in front of multiple pieces of removal. Apparently they don't have anything, so we will just go for the kill. I will go to the turn fast. Since opponent is not conceding, we just put a lot of walls in play in order to have 11, so each invoker activation is just one click. So we are up 1-0, but we really don't know what we are against. See you in game 2. Game 2, we sideboarded in the 3 Tamiya safekeeping. We are expecting some form of interaction from a black-green deck, mainly snuff out. We cut or we trimmed one Quirion Ranger, one Tinderwall, and one Wall of Roots. We are on the draw. We have two mulligan. The second hand is fine. We will put down the third path Savant because it's the only card we can play, and in any case, he's a late guy in my card. They have a garden which points more towards some garden variant, which is the worst case for us. And indeed, they have a cast down, so we are now expecting to be on the back foot. Here we try, well, we play first the lead just to mana efficiency, and we don't take one additional worlds. They play a dark ritual, which is unusual, and then a troll. Here the replay broke, but basically instead of playing the caretaker, we did play the Axebane Guardian. They had the defile, so I decided to just concede because I had a pretty poor hand versus a troll. So we hope to have a better situation. Game 3, we are on the play. In the first hand, we have the Tamiya safekeeping, but basically this hand cannot do anything, so we are forced to mulligan. We must be aggressive. The second one is much better. I think we are most likely bottoming out one of the guardians because we need all the rest. The plan here is to play guardian with Tamiya safekeeping backup. Here we draw a very useful winding way, hoping not to whiff. and instead we get a spectacular result. They play Lembas. We find the land so we can go with the plan A, Axebane with protection. We can even play the additional Saruli. They try to cast down, we protect, but they have the snuff out. That is weird. Anyhow, we draw again a very good Rip in the Graves. So we play the second Axebane. Here we kind of bluff something in hand. They start digging and have the Defile. We find the Wolfruth, which is basically a 1 mana 0/4 that allow us to very aggressively give back both the Axebanes. As I said at the beginning, we need to be pushing. We are not going to win the late game. We are already exceedingly close to Crypt Rats, but they seem not to have it. They play Thorn and again have limited mana. Here we can basically play our whole hand, provided they don't kill the Tac Tac. Because we will go Tac Tac, Axebane, Axebane, drift for lead, and then we see what we draw. We are super open to Crypt Rats, but we just disregard the case. If they have it, we lose. And we get a good hit. We can play the Wolfroots, and the rest we will play next turn. They keep drawing cards. Dark Ritual. Okay, unexpected. And this is even more unexpected. They kill only one of our creatures. Now they can most likely get the monarchy, which is weird. Anyhow, we play out everything. First of all, we will attack to try to get the monarchy. In any case, we can draw the cards from third path at instant speed. And we do get the monarchy. Now we will draw at least 4 cards, depending on if we can find some additional defender. Okay, the first two are kind of a whiff, as well as the second two. But we get the battlement. So opponent has to do something right now, otherwise we are very likely going to win next turn. Instead they keep digging, I don't know for what. Because now they are again kind of they are totally tapped out. They have to discard. Maybe they have only lands. Anyhow, here again we will attack with everything first, because this will put them at 4, so they cannot use this stuff out. Let's see what they do. Nothing. So here we are most likely going to win, since we are going to see a lot of cards this turn. And the 1D way sees the deal. I will go fast now. Even though we don't even need the infinite, they are just for life. we will just ban them out. Okay, so we unexpectedly win match 1 against a very, or usually very difficult matchup. I'm not sure if this was a normal deck list, but we don't complain. Let's see how it goes game 2, match 2. Welcome back to match 2. We are unfortunately against Walker 375, who is a fellow Italian player that very likely is on Jund Midrange, meaning a very hard matchup, even though not impossible. It's slightly better than Grixis Affinity. Our hope is that, like in his latest published list, he has no main deck KCSs, so we might have some ease in game 1. We are on the draw. Okay, first hand 0 lander, so we must mulligan. Second hand is again a mulligan, because we cannot keep it, basically have nothing to do. We actually missed one of the mulligans due to the replay going too fast, but we are forced to go to 4, which again is not ideal. Definitely we are now on the back foot on game 1, so we are going to keep the first 4 cards here and just hope for the best. As expected, is on Jand, so we'll go Battlement and then Winding Way. All as per normal plan. They play relatively little removal, so I was stopped immediately. They have the Snuff Out. We have a good Winding Way, but we are short on mana. And they start beating us. So here we might have some hope, depending on what they play. Now we are most likely dead next turn, whatever we do. So we had theoretically the kill next turn, but they will kill us with the munitions. They had the perfect hands against our Mulligan. Okay, see you in game 2. Welcome back to game 2. Here, as per the plan described in the deck tech, we side in only the 3 Hydroblast against the Shaman, and we trimmed 1 Thunderwall, 1 Wall of Roots, and 1 Winding Way, just because, of course, it doesn't combo with Hydroblast. We are on the play, and we have a reasonable hand, so we will keep it. Let's see how it goes. We plan to, they have duress as well, which is quite annoying. Here we play kind of conservatively. We could have played also the secret door, but it seemed reasonably safe not to. We are drawing reasonably well, so we will go for an Axebane, I think. The plan in this case is always take in mind refurbished familiar, but since we have Quirion Ranger on board, we can, let's say, drop 1 land per turn. Here we find the land that we keep in hand just for an additional familiar, and we play the Axebane, threatening the kill next turn. Let's see what they have. Another familiar. And yet another one, and also the Swamp for Snuff Out. Now, if they have Snuff Out, they will play it immediately. They don't, so we might have this game in hand. We are forced to go for read, we play, and they will concede most likely. Indeed. Good. 1-1. Uh, let's see how game 3 goes. Back to game 3 on the draw. We have quite a reasonable hand, even if they have turn 1 duress. And they play Blood Fountain, which is another very fair card in my opinion. Here we will go Battlement. They snuff out another Fountain. Refurbished. Here we will discard the third path Savant because it's the card that I will be able to use later and I want to develop my mana. Because if we have some chance, it all depends on this Hydroblast in rebuilding after KCS activation. The problem here is that they have two Blood Fountains, which is not super nice. Anyhow, here we will go in one of the synergies that we discussed in the deck tech, Wall of Truth mainly being a one casting cost defender that will allow us to play in the same turn Winding Way. Get the leaf color, which is not bad. They duress us and they remove the Hydroblast, meaning they most likely have the KCS. So we need to start thinking about all the plan Bs that I mentioned a few seconds ago. So here we just go for abandonment most likely. Here we have a reasonable amount of cards. If they do have the shaman, they are going to use it now. And of course they have it. Now let's see if they also have the Deadly Dispute. And of course they do. So we need to rebuild everything. And we know that next turn most likely they will get back both the Refurbished Familiar and the Cloud Crusher. But we have cards. We have drawn more cards than them. They have no clock. It's not easy, but it's not also impossible. Here we will drop the Drift, again because it's the card that we can use less. Our friend Shaman comes back. We get another Battlement. We try to force them to use the Shaman, but they do not want to, so we play the Tuck Tuck. And okay, and now another very fair thing happens. 6/6 Shaman, we have 2 turns left. We are not technically dead yet, but very close to. We have technically we might have the kill if we draw well next turn, assuming we have a next turn. And we are not going to, because they also have another snuff out. So we lose to KCS as we expected. Really, I really think that this card is too overpowered for this format. You see, this whole deck is really an amass of overpowered cards, but in the end, KCS is the key element because otherwise, several aggro decks could try to threaten it or attack it on different sides, and therefore I think this should be the card to ban. Of course, you could ban Blood Fountain or Dispute or whatever, but I would say the most overpowered element right now is KCS, which by the way was not the case in the past when there was not such an amount of treasure tokens, blood tokens, etc. etc. Anyhow, on the good side, we lost 1-2. We actually lost game one that we were supposed to win because mostly we mulliganed into 4. And also this one was reasonably fought. So this matchup in the end seems slightly more playable than Grixis Affinity. Anyhow, we thanks Walker to ruin our league, but also to give us the chance to show you the top of the format somehow, or how to play in these kind of tough matchups. See you in match 3. Welcome back to match 3 against Bedelle or Bedelle. I think I remember this name, but I'm not sure what they are going to be playing. We are on the draw. We have a pretty reasonable hand with a lot of things that we can do, even if they are on Kuldota. The mulligan to 5. Again a swamp. Here we go Saruli. And this cycle a troll. So again, the best would be Dredge or Turbo Fog, the worst, some kind of garden variant. Anyhow, we just go on with our plan. They are Dredge, which is a reasonable matchup. It's not, let's say, an automatic victory, but it's a good one for us. So they do their stuff. Here we really have basically everything we want. So we play Axbane and we also play everything else. I mean, we have the kill and they know it, so most likely they will concede. They do. So easy 1-0 up to now. Game 2. Against the Dredge, we just need a little bit of life. So we sided in the 3 Healers of the Glade, and we forgot to side in the Cryptic Incursion, which is quite funny since this is one of the matchups where we expect it to be used. Anyhow, this is life. We trimmed as we usually do. 1 Quirion Ranger, 1 Tinderwall, and 1 Wall of Frost. Again, this hand is skippable. They might have snuff out, but we don't care too much about it. They again have a troll. Let's see if they have the Exhume, which is one of the way for them to win. They have it. We find here the land and we see another of the things we saw. That means Wall of Roots is a 0 casting cost defender. Here we will play a lot of defenders and we have a very good draw in Drift. So we can threaten the kill next turn. Let's see what they do. They play a few creatures. They could possibly play the Lothlet. They don't. Here we do not find an easy way to kill them. So we just go for lead. We really hit with the lead, but nothing important. Of course, I could not go to the reaping lines because they dressed me in the reapings. But we have mana and we have a lot of creatures. So we'll have to block the troll. We will use the 2 Wall of Roots and the Saruli. They kill the 0-5 walls. And now let's see what we draw. And This is very aggressive on their side. They play the other reanimation spell, Dredge return, put in play another um, troll, and having a giant in the graveyard. We rip like a champion the winding way, and let's see if we find that something. We do. We find a tuck tuck, and here opponent asks if we have the kill, but we don't have technically the kill, even though most likely we do, because since I'm lazy, I did not count how many defenders we had. So we could most likely shield wall for drift for invoker and just kill them or kill whatever they have in play. But I go the fancy way, meaning I go to third path. So multiple errors this game. So we start drawing a lot of cards, and let's see what we get. I will go fast because we expect to win this turn. So more defenders. We keep drawing. We get some life. We keep drawing blanks. We find another windy way, and finally we find the kill. So we win 2-0 in you know a relatively easy way, even though we performed as usual a couple of nice mistakes, one in sideboarding and one in not just killing the opponent. So we are 2-1. Let's see uh, how it goes match 4. Welcome to match 4. We are playing against Niederschatten, who is a grinder, I would say. I met him multiple times. I don't know what they're playing right now. Often they are on some form of blue decks. We'll see. We are on the play. This hand is reasonable. Probably we will keep it, even though it's not very exciting. But assuming they are on... Okay, they are not on blue. They are most likely on red-green ramp, which is a fine matchup for us. It was almost unlosable before everyone started packing or the shining of the light road or whatever it's called, then the Hydra. And in the last few days they have also played up to 4 run through main deck, meaning that they can kill a little faster than before. So we need to basically go in as fast as possible and on the sideboard possibly a couple of moments PC. Here we get a reasonable winding way. They confirm to be on ramp. Here I went safer because we could play the Batman with tac support. As soon as we do this, they concede. So we are 1-up. Game 2, we had the sideboard glitch. I was putting in the 2 moments pieces for one Tinderwall and one Queen Ranger, but for some reason I could not submit the deck, and I was forced to submit the 62 cards deck. Features of MTGO, I guess. Anyhow, we are on the draw. This hand is very good. We have a very fast X-Main. We are not sure if they play mm, land destruction, but in any case, we don't care too much about it. So they go for the fast Undercity. Here we are already very close to winning. And indeed, they do. Actually, I think the replay here broke. We went to our next turn, but they knew we had everything because they saw this and they are very aggressive in conceding. So 2-0, 3-1 in matches. Let's see how we finish the league. Match 5, we are against Donne Tokyo. I think I played several times against this player, but I could not place them on any particular deck. We'll see. We are on the play. And we have a very good hand, so we keep. They might be on elves. That we mean we. Okay, so this is unexpected. We saw a landscape and Eldrazi Repurposer, powered out by a Llanowar Elf, so it seems to be some form of ramp, possibly. Here we just go on with our plan. Wall of Roots is a very good blocker. So we block and see if they have any trick. They don't. They rumble, and we saw Disputes. Again, a little unexpected. Here we are very close to winning. We just use our mana. Okay, Glee. They are on a Glee variant. That also uses elves, basically, to try to be a little faster. But here we have the kill, so it's game 1, so they probably don't play any interaction. They have the Molten Gatekeeper. Let's see if they make us play through. Here, just to be sure, I go with Alchemist, and they concede. Game 2, we actually didn't sideboard in anything, since we don't know what their plan will be after sideboarding. So we just try to go as for game 1 and see what kind of interaction they have. Again, we have a reasonable hand, not super fast, but I think we kept it. Also, opponent is on 7 cards. They keep the Gatekeeper. As usually against Glee, we just try to go fast and ignore whatever they are trying to do. If they have Snuff Out, we have a backup Axbane anyhow. They play a Jewel Thief and they indeed have the Snuff Out. So we play the second Axbane. They take another Jewel Thief, play the Molten Gatekeeper. We start being beaten down. We find an additional battlement, and we put out a blocker just in case. We do not block, so now here we have theoretically the kill. Let's see what they do. They try to find another snuff out. They don't. And right now they are dead. Because they cannot interact with infinite mana at instant speed. We go faster. And we win. So we end up the league 4-1. There will be also a brief section concerning possible modification to the version of this deck. Welcome back to the aftermath. So in this particular league, we tried a very heavy list on low casting calls cost defenders. We had 4 Wall of Roots and 2 Tinderwolves to try to go as fast as possible. And we even used one less lead because in previous leagues we had some mulligan issues and sometimes we had too many card draw spells in the early game, which was not very good for us. In the end, I say that the experiment worked, but the general impression, especially against some of the bad matchups, seems to be a little less powerful than I would like to. On the sideboard side, I'm not sure about Crypt Incursion. It's cute, but I don't know if we really need it or we might have something else. And in the Wars Discord, they correctly pointed out that Tamir safekeeping might not be needed if we don't plan to use it against red decks because of the fact that Vines of Vastwood might be better against Glee decks. So I updated the list. I will try this one, which is again an experiment. Lately on Magic Online there is a lot of blue decks, many blue decks, and what I found out in that league is that sometimes we drew a lot of lands. So I'm going back to the generous end based mana base. We play 4 ends, we reduce the lands to 12. Then we keep most of the deck unchanged. We just go back to the more normal configuration with just 2 Wall of Roots, no Tinderwolves. These allow us to increase the number of card draw spells back to the nominal, let's say. 4 and 4. This should be an intermediate version, mostly geared towards blue decks. We'll see how it fares. In the sideboard, as I mentioned before, we are going to try the Vines against Glee decks. And then I put back a general purpose interaction spell that can partially cover what Crypt Incursion was doing, which is Mirrorless Shell Crab. Because indeed, against Dredge, it can hopefully stop the Dread Return or even the Lotlap Giant trigger. Against Cycle Storm, it could stop the critical spell they play just before the first ripping or things like that. The rest of the deck is unchanged. We'll see how this fares. So this is going to be slightly slower than the previous version, and I report later on. Thank you for watching, and ciao!